Hello everyone, my name is Richard TV, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about my experience traveling from Nigeria to Canada and from Ontario to Alberta. Starting off with Nigeria to Canada. I can't really say a lot about my experience because I was very young at the time. But here are some things that I experienced, I remember experiencing while I traveled. So as a child, I didn't really pack my bags, or I didn't have to do much. So I just saw my parents. They were booking a place for us to stay because during the time we were going to Canada, it was the COVID period. So we couldn't just go straight to Canada. Canada needed to know if we were if we had COVID or not. So we booked a place to stay. We went to a different region. I think it was the UK. Went to the UK, booked a hotel. We took our test there, sent it to Canada. My dad was negative. Raymond was negative. Randy was negative. But me and my mom were positive. So Canada made a deal that we had to go to we could go to Canada, but we had to stay inside my house. My sister was also negative too, so we had to stay inside our house for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe 2 months. So we stayed in the house. We couldn't go outside. We couldn't do anything. So if you were bored inside, you couldn't go outside to the park. You couldn't go and socialize with your neighbors. You couldn't go anywhere. You couldn't go to church. Nothing. You had to stay inside. And the only way we could get food was ordering and stuff. So we ordered cereal and stuff like that. It was honestly a pretty fun experience. Then after me and my mom, we lost COVID. We were now negative. We went to our new home, which we stayed there for 4 years before we decided to move to Alberta. Now I can give you a little bit more information about moving to Alberta, how we moved to Alberta. So before I talk about the experience, I want to talk about the things we did before we could even leave our house. So first off, we had to choose the things that we were gonna ship off to Alberta that we couldn't carry in our bags or anything. So our TV went, our TV stand went, stuff like that went. Our fridge also went too. We were originally trying to take our PS5 with us, but that didn't really work out because our dad wanted us to keep it in case we got bored. And we had another TV that we weren't really using much, so our dad hoped that he could make that work and then we could play with it. The TV didn't work, so the PS5 was useless. Anyways, closer to the time we were getting ready to leave the house and get ready to go to Alberta, we had to choose what we were gonna keep, what we were gonna donate, and what we were gonna throw away, which was the most stressful part for our mom and our dad because there was a lot of stuff and they didn't want to put too much in the bags and too little in this bag. So they had to really, really narrow it down to a few clothing, few important stuff. In the end, we ended up donating a lot, throwing away a lot, and keeping a very little amount. So on our way to the airport was actually pretty fun, but I can't really tell you much about the scenery I saw. All I can remember is seeing a highway, and then I blacked out and woke up at an airport. So that's all I can tell you. At the airport, we got lost. The attendants told us that we had to check in our bags. We checked in our bags. Our bags were too heavy. We packed way too much. So we had to start opening the bags, moving from this bag to this bag, and then that bag to that bag. It was really stressful because we didn't want to pay for extra. So we put the bags in. They were finally the right weight. We didn't have to pay extra. And then the flight attendants told us to go to B to C. So we passed A, we passed B and C. We kept walking. I don't know why we kept walking. I saw a B and C. I pointed it and Mom, look, the B and C. My mom looked. She saw it, but we still kept walking for some reason. I don't know why. We kept walking. Then we got lost. Then we had to ask a worker there where B and C was. They told us We walked that direction. We still couldn't find it, even though it was directly in front of us. We asked another worker. They literally pointed at it. It was right in front of us. Then we started walking during security. Security was one of the most stressful moments for us. Cause like we had to wait long. We were pretty bored when it was wait. But then once you got to taking off your jackets, if you had boots, taking them off, it was actually kind of stressful. And Rennie got stopped in security because he forgot to take off his boots when they asked him to. So the little metal detector thingy, it started beeping and he had to take off his boots and put it in a tray. And we finally got back our stuff. But while everyone else was breaking up their stuff, putting it in their bags, our dad and Rennie's stuff didn't come through. I don't know why they didn't come through, but they just didn't. So we had to wait extra long before our stuff came through. So we waiting and waiting. I was afraid that we were gonna miss the flight because I in my head I thought we were late. So we were waiting. We finally got our stuff back. Then we started walking through the airport. We had no idea where we were going. We just chose the path, picked that path, and continued walking there and hoping for the best. First we went left. We kept walking. We saw a little bit of restaurants. So it was actually pretty good. I saw on the beach a baseball game. It was actually pretty interesting, but I couldn't watch it for long because we were still on the move. We realized we were going the wrong way, so we had to turn around, go back, and find our playing place or whatever they call it. So as we were walking and walking, we finally found the place where our plane would take off. But our plane was not ready yet, so we had enough time to sit down and chill. We chilled for 30 minutes before it was time for the plane to take off. So we brought our tablets with us and our phones because we didn't know how long. We stayed 4 hours and we didn't want to sleep, so it's we had to bring some entertainment with us, and it wasn't screens on seats or something like that. So you had to bring entertainment, and they didn't give you food either. So on the plane, my tablet shut down within 12 minutes of being on the flight. Keep in mind, this is a 4-hour flight. So within 12 minutes, my tablet shut down. And for the rest of the flight, I had to either sleep or hope for the person next to the window seats would open the windows so I could look out. Oh yeah, my dad was sitting here. I was sitting in the middle, and there was a person sitting on the window seat. So I'm okay, I'm asleep. My dad was generous enough to give me his neck pillow, and I fell asleep in a very uncomfortable position. And then I wake up, and where my dad is sitting is my mom, and where my mom was sitting is my dad with my brothers. It was actually kind of disorienting, because I didn't know you could switch. I didn't even know you could get up. So it was and then I asked my mom, "Why are you here?" And then my mom was because my dad was begging my mom to switch, in the middle of the flight while I was sleeping. My dad was and then my mom was okay, fine. So they switched, and I was kind of happy with the switch because now I could lean my head on my mom and sleep peacefully. But instead of sleeping, I started talking with my mom. I still felt sleep, but instead of sleeping, I talked to my mom. And apparently I slept for a long time because it was just taking 30 minutes before the plane landed. As the plane was landing, the person next to the window was generous enough to open the window thing so I could look outside. And the window was a very small box thing, but I could see cities and houses and stuff. It was very the scenery was very great. I loved it. And then I looked at the edges of the window. I saw frost. And I showed my mom. She was "Why is it frosty?" And then I started thinking about it, and then I thought that the temperature dropped because we went high up. The higher you are, the colder it is. So after we landed, we got off the plane. And I'm not sure we picked up the bags. We didn't go through security again. I asked why we didn't. Our dad said that we didn't have to because we were going we were staying in Canada. The only time you need to go through security when you land in a place apparently is when you're moving from countries. But that's what my dad said. So if that's wrong, please tell me in the comments if that's wrong. So we came out. We were gonna order an Uber to our place to stay. Um, so like we had choice. So my mom got an Uber app. She typed up the terminal we were in. We had choices. She typed up the airport, and then it gave us choices of where to be. And like it wasn't really that great of a choice because like they were like departure, and arrival. Arrival 12. We could only see up to arrival 11. So we just decided to like no, go to arrival 11 and hope for the best. So we got to arrival 11. We asked the worker where arrival 12 was. We found arrival 12. It was literally just right around the corner. If you walked like an extra 2 steps, you would have found it. So then we got picked up by an Uber. Yeah, it was great. I actually stayed awake for this one. It wasn't that long of a ride. Let's say 20 minutes. 20 minutes in the car. It was very fun. I was kept looking outside, looking at the scenery, and it was like you know, cars passing by. I saw TNT, Walmart. It was great. I saw a bunch of houses that weren't built yet. So like I was wondering like why they weren't built, or maybe they were renovated. Then we got up to our house. It was a pretty big house, and it's very big. It has a garage with a car in it. But then we came in, we left our bags. We left one of our bags at the garage because like no, we didn't have the keys, so we had to go through the garage. So we kept one of the bags in the garage. We brought all the bags upstairs and started unpacking. Unpacking was very I don't like unpacking much. It's like just boring to me. But yeah, that's my experience coming from Nigeria to Toronto and from Toronto to Alberta. If you like that video, please hit the like and subscribe button down below. And if you'd like to hear more about my experiences and anything, please comment down below, and maybe we'll do it. Thank you. Bye.